back to the SDG Warriors Podcast. I'm Simar Mahanti, the team lead and student coordinator at SDG Warriors, a team of passionate student change makers and STEMinists who are dedicated to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, leveraging the power of STEM education and 21st century skills. Brought to you by us SDG Warriors, this podcast features inspiring stories from EDUheroes and STEM experts from around the world. Ideal for students, teachers, parents, and basically anybody interested in STEM education and social impact, this podcast aims to provide enriching learning experiences and drive positive change in local, global, and digital communities. Today, we are going to be in conversation with an EDUhero who champions inclusive and accessible education in her global classroom, Miss Anna. To give an overview, Miss Anna is a seasoned language teacher and YouTuber with over 13 years of teaching experience. She has been teaching students virtually for more than 12 years and also offers professional development courses for schools. As a passionate advocate for inclusive and accessible learning, her main goal in teaching is to create a safe space where every learner feels included and empowered. She is the founder of Teachers Love EDU and believes that every child has the right to quality education and learning. That's a lovely vision, and it's fantastic to have you on a podcast today, Miss Anna.
Sorry, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me, for inviting me. I'm just in love with all the introduction that you've just shared. I'm so grateful and honored to be here. Super excited for today's conversation.
Me too. I cannot wait to dive into our conversation. And before we do that, to help our listeners audibly visualize the entire experience, can you please tell us where are you located? What's the weather like outside? And what do you see from your window?
Oh, this is so sweet. I love this question. So currently, I'm located in Russia. It's in Kiev, and it's like around 20 degrees above zero. Luckily, so it's almost August, and I think that this is almost the end of the summer time. So we are very close to the autumn experience. Anyway, I feel so happy that I can share today about my teaching and learning experience, and that I'm a part of your beautiful stream and podcast, Simar. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Anna. Here, back in Bangalore, India, it's 7:30 p.m. The sky was overcast the entire day, and there's like a gentle breeze with some chilliness looming in. From my
Beautiful.
window, let's see. I can see the city's silhouette with its twinkling lights beginning to shine as the night sets in. Whew. So now we've got
So
that
lovely.
visualized. Let's start right from the beginning of your story. Miss Anna, how did your background in social cultural service and tourism influence your teaching philosophy?
Such a great question. I have already shared this question in a previous podcast, but the thing is that my family, they didn't want me to be a teacher, like at least in local schools. They thought it would bring me disappointment only. So this social, cultural, and service tourism thing, it was because there was a connection to traveling and languages. So that was my two powers for sure. I love traveling. I love new people, learning about new cultures, all in all. But then, since I love this phrase, all the roads lead to Rome. If you do not fulfill your destiny, it means that so your lifetime or anything, your karma, whatever, will lead you to the point why you are here. So the impact that your power, whatever you want to call that, your destiny. So I'm a teacher, all in all. No matter how many hats I'm wearing these days, it's all about teaching somehow. This is all connected, and it's like magic. And this is how we learn who we are, why we are here, so, and all the most beautiful, amazing, and weird things about us, like ourselves. That's beautiful. So I hope I fulfilled this question for sure. So this is what's my experience. I've got 3 degrees, and that was my first one. And then after that, So what did I do? I started to my second and third degree in law and psychology and pedagogy all the same time. So it was really hard and difficult for me even to breathe. And at the same time, I worked hard. So I was teaching a lot. So and it took me 4 years of this kind of crazy race. But I'm a person like this. So for me, learning should never stop. If I do not have much work to do, I don't feel myself complete and fulfilled. So I'm that person. I felt myself so tired, but at the same time was inspired, with all the things, because I knew that I want to be a teacher. I need this pedagogy degree in pedagogy. Then I earned my money, because for my first degree my mom, she paid for me, and then it wasn't me. So these two more degrees plus TKT exam, Cambridge exam, teachers exam. So I spent a lot, but all in all, it's not that much important these days. I strongly believe that, because I have started my journey a long time ago as a teacher, and I meant to be a teacher. But and these days it's really great that we can take free PD courses. Lots of things are for free. Lots of information is everywhere. You just need to know who you are, why you need it, and we need to learn as well as teach our students how to use data these days, because we are diving and sinking in the whole amount of information. So
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, Miss Anna. Working hard to fulfill your goals that you have set for yourself and then following your passion in teaching. You're
yes.
truly an inspiration for so many people out there. Well, speaking of the real world, let's talk about skills. From a language teacher to an edtech consultant to a community leader, you mentioned that you wear many hats. Which is your favorite hat, and what is the top skill required for each hat that you wear?
First, I would love to say hi to Miguel. Thank you so much for tuning in, and all friends who join us. And yeah, this question actually, as I mentioned, no matter what role I have and how many hats I'm wearing, these are all connected to education somehow or teaching. As a But the most important thing is, why do I what is the most helpful hat for now? Like when I have started as a teacher, we didn't have COVID, pandemic, all the things, so I was concentrated and focused on my students only. Then COVID happened. Pandemic times, I was invited as a speaker a lot to help share, teach teachers. So my focus a little bit switched, but I never left my students like completely. And now these days, because we need to create our digital spaces, and I love collaboration, and only this word like inspires me so much. I want to spread the power of what the ideas, what teachers create, what platforms developers do in real world to support teachers, students who create platforms that are completely that have that they know the points of inclusivity and accessibility. All of those things. I would love them to know, to show and to highlight them, because sometimes parents, teachers, because we are from different parts of the world, we probably may not know all the tools that we need to support our students, to provide the sense of belonging, and to show them that everybody and can be included into the learning process. So this is what I want to create a space where the word can be spread easily, especially impactful words like, hey, we've got something like a cool tool, accessibility, of course, and inclusivity only. I do not support any platform that uh, doesn't have this point, that doesn't cover this point of accessibility and inclusivity. So we're gonna reach this question soon.
All right. So
What platforms?
totally. Mhm. Like you mentioned, collaboration is really the key. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, that time really taught us that connections, the power of connections is just so incredible that sometimes when we get to understand different perspectives, it can make us more empathetic and have a better worldview. And
Yes.
definitely, there are so many skills that are so important for people to have today. Being able to convey complex ideas in an understandable way, that's a skill that you must have honed as a language teacher, as an edtech consultant. Innovation must have been so important, like keeping up with the rapidly changing scenario of the tech world, and then integrating it while keeping in mind that it best suits your teachers and students needs. And as a community leader, empathy is again a key, understanding and addressing the needs of the global education community. So
You covered this
definitely.
question so perfect. Thank you, Sima. Yes, empathy is very important. I was not, this skill wasn't the most powerful of mine before when I started as a teacher. So I can say that now. I feel that that was my pain point for sure. Being as a young educator, I was so, yeah, we have to do this passion. I thought that everybody should be perfect and excellent and everything. Like since I'm a language teacher, I want this is the best, and I pushed too much probably. Uh, I, I was a great teacher always, so I am. Like my students, they came back to me like from 10 years after or something, but it's not the point of inclusive classroom. So empathy is so important, and reflecting. Yes, again, if you're at a consultant, you need to hear people like teachers. If you're a teacher, you need to hear your students. You need to know their, again, pain points, what their powers are. Like everything is so crucial and important to get this, like by reflecting.
Definitely, empathy is a key that we all
Yes.
build with time. So, Miss Anna, we'd love to know, what does a typical day in the life of Miss Anna look like?
Gosh. So, like, attention. We are talking about a perfect day, but we are not perfect, and we don't have to be perfect. For me, my day is perfect when I read at least a few pages or something, because it's magical trick to my brain. I don't feel insomnia at night before I go to sleep. I don't feel much anxiety when I keep reading per day. So we're not robots, however. So I wake up, read a bit, have a coffee, check my mails, go for a walk in the park. Like I love just watching nature, trees, wind and everything. It makes me feel that I live now in the very moment of now. Because with all of the I have anxiety, so and all of the things when they are pushing on you, you stop feeling yourself where you are, what you are. So you just do the task, you're just overwhelmed with the things that your family think, in the world, whatever crazy things, but you stop feeling yourself that you live right now. So, and probably in the park, I do more reading and definitely listen to my favorite playlist. Music is my everything. So I do everything with music. If there's no music, oh my gosh, I don't want to do anything. But anyway, again, I'm just trying to grab some sun rays. If it's sunny, if it's not, I'm not sad. I'm just, being among the nature. Sometimes I skip my breakfast when I get back home. I have lessons. I try to work out. Then I have lunch. Probably I have more lessons. Then I work with the content or all the socials. It's pretty much tiring thing. So if you're not ready to work with social, just skip it. Just believe me, it's a not time saving thing. Then I probably buy some food, prepare dinner, and all over again. So probably do. I have more meetings with my friends or online meetings because I need to schedule stuff, and it takes so much time again. So that's, of course, at the weekends. It's my rule because I want to spend them like holidays, to go out somewhere, not just working, because before it was projects work, and I have missed something. So I have missed my friends and all the things. We need to remember that we live only once. So we're not perfect, but we need to give ourselves some time to relax, because my brain, with all the work, it started to feel like I don't know, too much heat, with all the streamings and stuff. And I realized that, oh my God, I need to relax more. So I need to be more grounded, to think about mindfulness. So this is something that I'm more focused this year. So 2024 is the year of, like, with the hashtag. I go with the hashtag for 2024. Be you. That's it. That's super important. Yeah.
Well, listening to your day sounds incredibly dynamic. I mean, balancing content creation and live interaction takes so much energy, and it's important to pause in the moment and sometimes also appreciate the little things in life. Like you mentioned, reading is the best way to unwind during a busy day, and being in the moment, practicing mindfulness, being with nature, and definitely listening to music. I love listening to music. So when you told that, I could literally connect with you over here so many miles away. I think that's the one power that binds us all, irrespective of our geographical barriers. So
Sure.
definitely. Mhm.
Absolutely
So
agree.
So, now let's talk about the landscape of inclusive and accessible classrooms, something that Miss Anna, we know you're really passionate about. So, Miss Anna, you've taught students with dyslexia. What are some common misconceptions about dyslexia that you've encountered, and how can we as a community work to dispel them?
As it's connected with special education. So in every school, there must be a special educator who curates, who checks, reflects, and tests students. Like, because there are so many misconceptions. Like, dyslexia is for someone who has bad eyesight, which is whoa, 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 whoa. No, the brain works differently, but it does not connect it with a poor eyesight or something. Like, it's totally different thing. Or that dyslexia is something that can be discovered only in elementary school or high school. It's not. So my students were of primary school. And something that dyslexia, that it's only for, how to say that, it happens only in English language or in other foreign languages, which is like, whoa, oh no. So, and probably it's connected with the next question. By the way, I love all the questions that you send me. They're so thoughtful. I'm going to mention that at the very end of the webinar again. So I'm totally in love with them and so personal. I had the situation, I was a young educator, and I already took my course from Stanford University, online course on dyslexia, but we had only intro meeting with one of my students. It was like mini group of learners, and I provided extra classes. So my students came to me in the second part of the day after the main lessons from school. They were not exhausted, but I just want to highlight that point. And one of my students, he needed to read aloud because it was like only first lessons for him in my group. And I met him only at the very beginning, intro lesson, as an intro lesson with his mom. But of course, he had like starter skills. He couldn't read in English. His skills were really poor, so I couldn't even think that he can do same in Russian, like in his first native language. So when we got to the point where it was a role play and he needed to read something out loud, I watched such a like heartbreaking scene. He started to cry and he dropped his book, onto the floor. Nobody pushed on him. It was like totally calm, quiet, and peaceful situation. But I saw so much desperate. Since it was the second part of the day, all the teachers at school pushed him, called him not that clever boy, and they push him to read aloud, to write a lot, because dyslexia could be connected with dysgraphia and something. So that was, my heart was broken. I talked to him and his mom after the lesson, and I asked one question: do you have problems with the Russian language too? She said yes. I said, whoa, that's a different story. So dyslexia, it doesn't happen only in English or other like second languages, third language. It's just the certain work of brain, you know. And that student of mine, he was so creative. He took first place. My students created digital interactive presentations on Bouncy for Halloween, so it's since a part of our culture exchange program. And holidays edu whatever, so it's our hashtag for that. So he was incredibly kind, generous, and he is still, he's amazing. But because at schools, they, in my city, that's native city, yeah, they don't have specialists or special education who can support, who can check and, you know, diagnose this. So his mom, I told them, and we started to learn about immersive reader. So because with the immersive reader, every student of mine could feel the sense and the point of accessibility and inclusivity for sure, and their colors, different fonts, you know, all the stuff, all the things that inspired me. And my student, he never had that mood, because first time I've seen that, it was desperation. And I feel so much pain, because there are so many students, they are called not clever, but this is not about them, this is about the, I always support teachers, but sometimes, you know, when you see students, amazing, kind, nice students, like crying, you know, and something that's heartbreaking. So since not that time, I started that journey before, I know how much it's important to support your students. And I can't imagine that anyone in my classroom isn't included. It's like, whoa, what is it all about? So we can find the solutions, the tools, we can make it together anyway. So everything is possible to a willing heart. This saying I love so much. So
Right. Teachers definitely need to be sensitive and observant about their students to identify any learning difficulties that they might be facing. Having training in identifying these learning difficulties like dyslexia or dysgraphia or any others is definitely very important to support students who might be facing these. Like you mentioned, there are many misconceptions that surround these students, like for example, dyslexia is only because of having poor eyesight, or it's only concerned
I'm sorry,
with
that's really funny. That's not. Oh,
exactly, it's only like something which happens in the English language, or it's only something that can be discovered during the later parts of life. I mean, these are definitely
yes.
misconceptions that need to be dispelled immediately so that we could create a more empathetic, a more supportive environment for all students to learn and thrive. So definitely, Miss Anna. So this
So inspiring. Thank you.
Okay, so Miss Anna, this brings me to my next question. Recognizing that every student learns differently, how can educators differentiate between a student struggling due to dyslexia versus other learning challenges? And what strategies, as a teacher, have you found most helpful in differentiating instruction to address these students' diverse needs?
Yeah, that story that I covered actually, this connects so well to this question, how to differentiate so between students struggling. It wasn't just about struggling, right? So that I shared his behavior. It wasn't just about struggling. It was about dyslexia, and he couldn't read because, you know, it took him so much effort, and students, they need to be taught special skills, lots of multisensory work. Um, I think I'm talking about the activities that we need to take to support dyslexic learners, lots of visual support. So, as I mentioned before, it's obvious when it's dyslexia. So, you can check not only in one language, you can, it's the whole story, you know. So about the struggling and dyslexia, it's not just struggling. If your student, they just sometimes they mixed up B and D, so it's not about dyslexia. So it's something that can be fixed. But dyslexia, it's a different thing for sure. Sorry, what else to cover to that question? Like to what else to add to that?
I mean, any other strategies that you can suggest to teachers that
Strategies,
can.
yes, sir. Um, oh my gosh. Strategies to support students. Of course, to use tools. These days, it's very easy with the immersive reader, as I always suggest that. Lots of tools like read out aloud on Book Creator. I only, as I mentioned before, only use the platforms that support that, or translation or type with your voice only. So sometimes students they cannot type, or for example, as they like they can't write, or something that's voice. I forgot. There's a special name for this, voice typing or something. These features are included in Microsoft Word and Google Doc. So many things. It's very popular video, by the way, on my channel for type with your voice on Google Doc, but it works only on Google browser. Lots of accessibility tools on Microsoft, so you can, on in OneNote. So, gosh, there's a list. There's a list of things to add. It definitely should be. There must be a book on accessibility tools for sure, and it must be published. That's what I would love to support dyslexic learners. I think the first thing to take is to support with visual content. So, touching, making figures, drawing with your hand, lots of things. This is like, um, yeah,
So, like you
Lionel.
mentioned, Miss Anna, immersive readers, speech to text, as accessibility tools, and involving as many senses as you can to learn the content. That's something that definitely teachers can work upon, and also students, they can help their friends who have dyslexia with using these tools. And definitely, Microsoft has lots of these accessibility tools which are available in their tool directory, which people can check out. So, definitely, that's a big takeaway for all our teachers out there. Right.
Sure.
Miss Anna, you are a strong advocate for project based learning. So, building upon our conversation on inclusivity, how do you design projects that are inclusive of students with different learning styles and abilities?
Oh, well, everything is so connected. And of course, we try to use the tools that supports inclusivity and accessibility is Wakelet, always Wakelet, Flipgrid. I think it's connected to another question. But however, we can skip that. Because for me, like on Flipgrid, everything is visible to a student. What he like, we record the video, and then students they can see the captions, they can edit them, they also can use immersive reader even just from the video, from their speech. The immersive reader pops up and everything is visible, what they have said and everything. Or as I send it as an assignment, my students can see, for example, if our project is on environment, natural disasters or anything like that. So you just send the video, and they can use immersive reader, and they can understand what are the words in this video. They can work with the text, because in immersive reader you can see parts of speech. You can translate any word into like over 65 languages or something. I'm not sure what the number is right now, but it's already like blow minding for sure. There are so many options like read out aloud with different voice speed and different like male and female, which confine many students for sure. And gosh, so Book Creator, we love it as always. This Book Creator is the choice of my students for over 2 years, and I absolutely in love with all the, again, read out aloud, since we love storytelling. And my students they love record their voices again on Book Creator. It's very accessible. Students don't have to leave that space to add a picture. They can record their videos again. I love their features of accessibility. Of course, what else we can use? We can use quizzes, Quizlet. All of these platforms, they are absolutely inclusive and accessible, and there are so many. But My personal advice, not to overwhelm. Actually, I was told that, but one of the teachers from the US, I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry. He was a speaker on hybrid learning, because that time, when the COVID pandemic started, we needed to know how to organize our lessons, like in the groups. So we need to pick up some tools, not the list of tools of 10 or something, and try them out for a month. If it's primary, if we talk about primary learners especially, or for a month, because students, they need to know why and how to use that tool. So we love Sway from Microsoft. My students, they create lots of presentations on Sway. And from Google, from Microsoft, again, lots of things that support students. And for me, it's very important to create a safe and accessible environment. So if it's too complicated to join for my students, I'm not ready to use that tool. Sometimes, like, Microsoft Teams, for example, could be too complicated for my students to use it, but I love that tool. But it depends on your learners. If your learners are too little to use it, or you're struggling, try to find your tools that suit your classroom. So there's a great variety of different attack tools. So just stick to yours. You can find yours for sure. Keep learning, but give that like trial period some time. You need to check how it works with your students. That's the point. How we use it, little step by little step, step by step, step by step. So it works like this. Because otherwise, oh my gosh, I don't know where to find time. Wakelet rules. Yes, Miguel. So, of course, Wakelet was always super accessible for me and my students. And one more thing, I think, again, I'm connecting the line to another question, that it should be collaborative space as well. So my students, they need to join easily and to collaborate as well. So these things are super important for me being a teacher. So it's about
Absolutely.
project. I'm so sorry. That's about project, because project-based learning. Some teachers, they claim that, how and why do you have time for that? It's overwhelming. That's why it should be that easily for my students and to join. So because it's extra but deeper learning on the subject. That's why it's so impactful. But of course, for so many classrooms, it's extra. So we have to find the best tools for sure of accessibility and inclusivity.
Absolutely, Miss Anna. Creating an inclusive learning environment is so crucial, especially in today's diverse educational landscape. When designing projects, it's really important to consider the various learning styles and abilities of students. And this could mean incorporating visual aids, like you mentioned earlier, hands-on activities, or even technology like Flipgrid with accessibility features, or storybooks in Book Creator. This is something that I, as a student, have also experienced, that we have created storybooks in Book Creator, where we use the record with voice option, so that whenever the students are seeing the storybook, they don't only have the way that we are representing the visuals in through Minecraft. They also have another way of listening to the story by just clicking on the speaker button, and they can just listen to it in that way. And there's also the option of having quizzes and Quizlet and Wakelet. But at the end of the day, we must remember that these are only tools, and focus on few tools. Make it as simple as possible, so that the focus is on learning and not about mastering the tools. So that's a big
Of
takeaway
course,
today.
yes. And we need to showcase, being teachers, that it's possible to make. So like, if we talk about Book Creator, or the same thing, or Spaces work on Wakelet the same way, there is a library. So when your students create something, but if they're struggling or they're too lazy, show them the other books that are created by other students. So it will highlight how it is, like, that is possible, it's accessible. So you can make this too. They can get this inspiration. But what I always say, that never do the same. Be individual, do it in your way. I hate copywriting or anything like that. So I try to spark their creativity and competitive mode. Why not? Of course, it's tricky, but showcase libraries, or how to say that, like, I think they, in every platform they are called like boards. Sometimes you can create boards on some platforms, like, again, don't quite remember the name of that, Padlet or something, or same thing, it was on one more platform, so sorry, I completely forgot the name of that. But you just, the point, the idea that you highlight, you showcase your students, here you go, the others, they have already done that, look, they they see the ideas that they have already shared, they always want to make it better, always, it works like magic, they are completely engaged, they want to, beat others with the creativity. If you want to, inspire your students to and provoke their creative skills, just something like that, just show them like examples. But some people say, if I show the example, they will do the same. My students, they know that they're individuals, they have to do something, because I expect that from them, to see what they can bring to this world, not like others, what others have already done. The point is that to showcase them that somebody has already done that, you can do it too. And look how amazing, if it's culture exchange project, students can learn more about the cultures of other students and all of the amazing things about them, their backgrounds. This is my favorite part, to be honest.
Well, sharing examples, and that's something that I really love. I suspect my teacher is also doing that now that I think of it. But this always enables us to think more broadly and creatively. And speaking about broadening perspectives and talking about virtual field trips, Miss Anna, you've facilitated some incredible global collaborations and
Oh,
Skype-a-thons
thank
for your
you.
students. So, what are some unexpected lessons or insights that your students have gained from participating in these global Skype collaborations?
Oh, these memories, my students, they always in years. They always say, "Gosh, we remember this and this." It was all about global collaboration, Skype, whatever. So, but Skype, it was like the first thing that we took for sure. So no matter how far you are from each other, in other words, no matter from what country you are, what culture, what culture, what your culture is, but your background, beliefs, whatever, we are so similar in so many ways, and this is the best highlight, the most important highlight that they always get, especially children, because they only start learning about this world and they've got the picture image in their head that we are so different, like they couldn't even um, imagine that it's such a small world. They thought that India or Spain, it's like another galaxy. But when they started to talk to students from Indian school, Spanish school, and we were in so many countries, like virtually, without leaving our classroom, they realized that, oh my gosh, we're all humans and we're so alike. And they go to the schools are so similar, the food preferences. Oh, I like garlic. Oh, I hate garlic. Me too. And this excitement was all over the classroom. Like, I love like garlic, whatever. But I mean that they discovered these similarities or whatever. This, like, as I mentioned, we're so human, we are all human, we are so alike, and however we're so different. And this is the beauty of diversity, that enrich everyone who starts thinking and learning about our beautiful world, like, for sure. This is, it's not, nothing can compare to that. Why you learn language? Come to my classroom, I will show you. That's we had this open lessons, as we call that, uh, and invited parents sometimes, and they were amazed. Oh my god. So yes, that's something that they will never forget, and I'm so proud to be a part of that journey. So I'm so, I miss my students, like, because that's a great history. We, when it's like social emotional learning in the process, in life. Real people. Why you learn language? Why you learn languages, all in all? Demo, free live demo, just demonstration how it works, because it's so amazing when you can get connected to a person from different country. Geographically, it's so far away, but and we think, oh, we're so different. We're not that much different anyway. And this is so beautiful. Yes.
Absolutely, Miss Anna. We are more similar than we actually think. Global Skype collaborations are like a wonderful way for students to connect with peers like themselves from around the world. There are so many new things that we can learn as students from all these connections. Like, for example, learning about different cultures or getting new perspectives on global issues. These experiences not only broaden out our horizons, but also enhance our empathy, collaboration, and communication, something that we were talking about earlier. So, definitely, Miss Anna. Speaking about communication, language barriers can sometimes pose a challenge in these international sessions. So, how do you handle language barriers in these international Skype sessions? And, Miss Anna, what tools or methods have been effective in overcoming them?
That's a great question, but long story short, practice makes perfect. I'm very nice, but I always say that to my students. You see, it's not that I was born talking like this fluently, speaking English or Spanish, whatever. You have to practice. So I want them to know that learning language is a very hardworking thing for our brain. So we have to be prepared. And since my students, again, they got lots of compliments about their pronunciation, accent, because they worked hard. So my job was to inspire them, engage them, because it's not easy to learn a language. It's like myth that it's super easy. For me, yeah, it probably was easier than to my other classmates, but all in all, I loved it. So I read a lot. I had lots of tests, again, uh, lots of PD courses and all of the things, because I truly love languages. But it's a lifelong process, and trust environment, of course. That's why should we learn that? Our brain is so lazy. My students, they weren't always happy, okay, yes, I want to read lots of text, no, I want to prepare, I want to record videos. Of course not. But I wanted them to be always inspired, and why they always to know the goal, why they do that. So this demonstration again about Skype sessions and all of the things, of course, I tried to create this sense of belonging. We were a team. I was so proud because second Skype-a-thon that we took apart, my classroom was in a recap video 3 times, and we didn't know that. We were just enjoying. We were singing songs. We're engaging with the projects and all of the things. I didn't ask them to bring anything or to be there for a day, whole day, or 2 days. It was their desire. So they organized all the activities. They sang. They got a guitar. It was for me. My family didn't see me for 2 days. I'm sorry, guys, but we love what we're doing. So sometimes we're that passionate, crazy people. But anyway, I'm so proud that I had that moments with my students. We would never forget that for sure. Plus, lots of visual support always. So we use Flipgrid. My students, they practice a lot by recording videos, and I told them that it must be better. It's amazing, but you can do it better. So practice makes perfect. Do not expect easy ways if you want to look really well. You can do that like 1, 2, 3, let it go. Of course, we're not perfect again, so it depends on day, your time availability. Of course, we created lots of wakelets, so students, they practice with immersive reader on wakelet with the text, and we did research what they're gonna talk about, like their text speech. Some performances of theirs, they require that. We'll create again messengers, because my students, they use the audio option. They send me their voices and I check them. Yes, in my free time. Yes, but we were amazing because we practiced a lot. So that's the point. they dropped me there reading out aloud. I checked their voices, ideas. So we had brainstorming. We were and we are a team. So that's the point of the triangle. I always invite parents for the very first lesson, because I explained that this is triangle, me, you, and your uh, child. We always like we're together. And this is the point that should be in every school, in every educational process. So support each other, be a team. So for me, it's like team building. Like how can you feel yourself belong if you don't know your powers, or the thing that you need to get more practice on? That's ridiculous. It's not possible. My cat is getting crazy. I'm sorry. I'm watching it there next to the wheel. I just can't reach her out. But anyway, if she's gonna be closer, I'm gonna show you. Crazy furball. So
Yes, Miss Anna, practice to gain mastery with awesome tools like Flip, Wakelet, and Book Creator. I can literally imagine my teachers nodding in agreement. And also, I'd like to take this opportunity to give a shout out to all our teachers who and all our mentors who have helped us to
yeah.
master our content and skills that are important for surviving in this world, and not only surviving but thriving. So, yes,
Yes. Yes.
considering the challenges that have been posed by these language barriers that we often encounter, we were curious to know about another issue that remains in the limelight in this era: access to digital resources. Now, Miss Anna, we've seen that given the current global conflicts and its impact on access to digital resources for its citizens, how can classrooms ensure that learning never stops?
Luckily, I feel so grateful to the mindful platforms that can be completely and totally called inclusive, because some they may not, and they are not inclusive anymore for us. And it's not only about my country, because sometimes I get these notifications on email, which is like, this feeling of sadness and bitterness. Like, you are not included. I'm sorry, your country is not included anymore, and our platform won't support you anymore since that date. For example, that's the date. And that's a question. How come that I'm being a teacher was placed in the situation like that? I have no idea why. Like, why? If you know the definition of inclusive education, it should be always inclusive for everyone in the same way, equally. And when these platforms they do this, it's humiliating, and also it's ridiculous. Like in 21st century, you can restrict any other businesses, but not education. Every child, because I have been passionate about inclusivity and accessibility before, 2 or 3 years before this global conflict started, whatever. And our country is not the only one. I see the list of countries, and I feel so sad for us, even if I wouldn't be connected to this country, my country, Russia. So I would feel the same. I was like passionate for that thing, and I will never stop, I think, because it's like nobody can explain that why in educational field it should be restricted. Because if you stop the source, so students can get the things that you want to teach them, or teachers, like, it's ridiculous. uh, I will never support that. I will never understand that in any ways. There's no point, and there is no. I'm totally against two things, like totally, completely. It's violence and discrimination. So we are in, unfortunately, so some countries like ours and others, they have this experience of being not included because you were discriminated by your nationality. This is not about the education is not about that. I don't care what my students, like, I love them, I want to support them, want to teach them. It's a child. Is it like, are we talking about genders and nationality these days? Why? We are humans. Of course, it's sad to hear that in 21st century. from educational platforms. So educational, really. So it's not about education, it's about discrimination or anything, but not about something that I would love to see in the future, the skills that should be taught our students. Canva for education, they are completely restricted, and they restricted the access, but it's very unfortunately, like I don't understand, because teachers, students, they got the access to collaborate, the boards. I taught my students, I taught so many colleagues and everyone, and then in one day they said, I'm sorry, you're not included. All, take your data, download, go, goodbye. uh, okay, what, how should I explain that to my students? I have no idea. Like, I don't want them to use these platforms. I will never, I don't want to talk about Canva until they change their mind about this inclusive situation and accessibility in education, at least. Okay, I'm not talking about other businesses. Education, it's not about business, in my opinion. It should be always for free for everyone. So, like Canva, we don't use for sure. And we use Wakelet, we use Book Creator, we used Flipgrid, and quizzes and Quizlet. We've got lots of tools, of course. Connecting to your question, I have stopped using the tools that are restricted for my student. I don't want them to see this label. I'm sorry, you are not included. Of course, I don't want to use them. And I have selected these tools, and I want to talk about them. I will talk about them and other platforms with the AI options. I'm so excited to share about AI these days. They reach me out, I reach them out, we talk about each other, and this is amazing. We will not stop our learning because of someone who is so narrow-minded or doing that by unreasonable thing. I don't know why. Education should be always accessible and free for everyone, free access and everything. So this is my personal opinion, and I want that for my children, for all the children. Everything starts with children. So teachers, they have such a lots of power. They can inspire. They can. I don't want to talk the opposite. Sometimes bad experiences happen, but all in all, it's so important to support teachers, not to discriminate them, for sure.
Absolutely, Miss Anna. When we discuss about conflicts between nations, it's important to acknowledge that ultimately the real loss is borne by its citizens. It's borne by the students, the teachers, the parents, and the normal people who have literally not done anything. In light of the current global conflicts and its impact on access or digital resources, it's more important than ever to ensure that classrooms find ways to ensure continuous learning, because truly education should never stop. Education is not a business. It's something that it's something that helps students evolve into the human beings that they become, and we need more good human beings in this world. And this might involve leveraging offline resources, adapting curriculums to be more flexible, and like you mentioned, using tools that include everybody. We need to walk the talk when we say that education needs to be free and accessible for everyone. So, definitely finding innovative ways to connect with students with areas having limited internet access, it's definitely a challenging situation, but one that also calls for creativity and resilience in education. And definitely we would love to see this happening more in the future, where we have more inclusive tools for everybody.
I just want to add to your beautiful speech, inspiring one, that there's always the way. There's always the way. And when I felt myself like 2 or 3 years ago, like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What I'm so restricted. I have never felt that. I was always rooting for inclusivity, accessibility, but myself, I like, I discovered me in the center of storm, like hurricane or whatever, and it's not cool, guys. Like, why? Especially in educational fields, like, please, we need to be more mindful again and think about the future, about students and support teachers, not discriminate them. Again, this is like the final thing that I would love to say about that.
Love that, Miss Anna. You truly speak from the heart, and
Thank you.
definitely there's always a way. Well, um, is now shifting our conversation to a little less a more less serious topic. The digital world definitely offers us students with incredible opportunities to share our creativity and ideas with the world. So, Miss Anna, as a content creator, in your opinion, at what age should students be introduced to the world of content creation, social media, and personal branding, and how can we students utilize content creation for good?
So of course it depends, but all in all, since sixth grade, I think that you can start practicing like as being a teacher with your students to do blogging and content creating thing like on socials. Yeah, since around 12, 13 years old, but in a very private and safe spaces like we do blogging like daily blogging on book creator on flip we did it's in a video way like vlog, not blog but vlog, and it's like sort of imitation of social. So students, they for sure they need to be prepared for socials because social media manager, content creator, I didn't know how to use Twitter or X or Instagram. I discovered that and was learning on my own. But I'm sorry, but students, they can start practicing in a private way on book create, again do blogging as I mentioned, wakelet. So not in a public way, but there must be features to invite others and collaborate with them. So again, that's how they can feel themselves that, oh, it's not only for me, or this collection is not only for me. So everybody can see it or give me the reaction or suggest something like comment box, whatever. There are so many platforms I can name it for sure, but even with avatars like imitation of X, there's a special apps. If you type it in the search engine search, you will find them. So this sparks motivation and student engagement for sure when you collaborate like in your classroom, or if you publish your book on book creator, the other people who are already registered and signed in, they can see it, they can and there's a notification that somebody in for example, Indonesia or in France, they have read your book. My students, they love these notifications. So this, I show them the geography and where their books were read, and they're like, oh, so they want to create more. They feel themselves more engaged. So this is for sure something that it must be done, but no, that's in primary school. I think it's not necessary for sure, but probably elementary school is the best option. And because students, they have different minds, so they've got more association with this world because their brain is more fulfilled with the information and connections. So that would be the best thing for sure.
Absolutely, Miss Anna. Safety is definitely paramount. Introducing students to the world of content creation, social media, and personal branding can really prove to be an invaluable asset. It's all about finding the right balance and ensuring that students are mature enough to understand the responsibilities
Yes.
and the things that come with these tools. When it's done thoughtfully, content creation can really be a powerful way for us students to express ourselves, advocate for causes that we are passionate about, that we care about, and build the early skills in the digital literacy and communication. Definitely, Miss Anna. Now, to keep things lively, let's switch gears up a bit and dive into our next segment, the rapid fire segment. Are you ready, Miss Anna?
Yeah, sure.
Miss Anna, if you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Since I love traveling so much, uh, I was so sure about Spain before. Now I'm not. So I think, gosh, I don't know. Like I want to go traveling to so many places. Serbia. That would be Serbia.
That's beautiful indeed, Serbia. Well, moving on to our next question.
Sure.
Miss Anna, like you mentioned before, you have a cat. So if you and your cat were superheroes, what would each of your superpowers be?
Oh my God. I think how to sell how to when you can travel from one distance to another by only using your thought. Like how to
Teleporting.
teleporting? Yes, that would be the best. So I can travel wherever I want.
So definitely teleportation for Miss Anna and her cat. Now, our last rapid fire question. Miss Anna, imagine that you are a new addition to a crayon box. Which color would you be and why?
Turquoise, I think, because it's like not that cold to me, not that depressive as purple, and also it's like it's light. I can't express that, but turquoise is something that relates to me so much. But in
Definitely.
my clothes, I prefer black only. But anyway, if we talk about the cessation, I think it's turquoise for sure.
Definitely. I love turquoise as well. So, yes. Well, that was a wonderful use of our creativity, and so far it's been a lovely conversation. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Anna. As we come to the end of this episode, let's wrap up all our learnings and takeaways in our last segment, the Inspire segment.
I love
Miss
these things.
Anna, who or what has been your biggest inspiration in life and why?
Hmm. All in all, I would say people, always people. So, because they always have very special energy. People can bring a certain energy to a place. So I can say people, places, yeah, but whatever people, they make this happen. The energy, they bring it to a place or create and invent things, music shows, films, and I certainly get inspiration from all over. And without people, it wouldn't be like that. And of course, my family is such a powerful engine for me. My PLN, my friends, my English and history teachers, if we talk about the school background. And yes, this is all in all people.
That's so inspiring. Every person that we are surrounded by, we can learn something from them and they can offer us some sort of inspiration in some way. So, definitely, that's a big takeaway for our audience today, Miss Anna. Moving on to our next question. What words of inspiration were given to you, Miss Anna, that you would like to pass along to others?
So, I mentioned that last year I've read an incredibly short but at the same time inspiring phrase from the book that is called "This shall pass too." The book is called "The Mindful Discipline," and the phrase is "This shall pass too." It's very, it's petty, it's very small, but it's short, but it's so meaningful. At least that moment, it was my insight. When we are all in general nice and kind and good people, but sometimes such bad things happen to us, so we cannot control. We got under the pressure, so like mental, physical, whatever. But no matter what, just we need to keep it in mind that this shall pass too, and that made me feel so released. I can't explain that, but in your darkest time, think about this phrase: this shall pass too. Because all in all, life is good, but when you feel yourself depressed or overwhelmed, just keep it in mind. I hope that it will help you as much as it helped me, for sure. Yes.
Absolutely, Miss Anna.
Thank you for
Sometimes,
highlighting. Yeah.
well, there's so many things that happen to us in our lives, and we get so caught up in the darkest of our times. And I think it's really important to remember, like you said, that it's not going to last forever. This shall pass too. So definitely, that's a big
Yes.
takeaway. Mhm.
Yes, that's true. Even if the conditions, they will change for sure. Nothing lasts forever. So this is something that helped me for sure.
Yes, Miss Anna. Coming to our last question, could you please give us all a call to action? What can we, children and young people, do to make the world a better place?
Never stop learning, guys. Never stop learning about this world, about you. Start thinking about who you are. So, with my students, especially since elementary school and sometimes since primary, depends on the conditions, mental, whatever. So, I give some like tests, I may say tests or tasks. So my students, they start investigating who they are. They think about their roles in their lives. We use the circle from Stephen Covey, and we reflect a lot. And they do that in their free time, because sometimes you need to be with yourself only. So, and then we have a discussion. So it's like probably something about psychology, or but the connection is super. mm, it's everything is connected to that, because you need to trust yourself and think about the impact that you can give to this world. But start with yourself, your brain, your body environment. Think about that. And then how you can be helpful to the world. So why you're here, so what is your power, what you enjoy doing most in your life. By doing this, you will definitely make this world a better place for everyone. For you, start with investigating who you are. This is incredible, because I have started doing this only. I when I was at the age of 28 or something, I didn't know all of my roles in my life. And when I started, I discovered that life is more, it looked like the picture got clearer or something. I just can't explain that. And you know who you are. If you don't know who you are, how can you be helpful to this world? And of course, we are not here just to breathe. We we are humans with brains. We can make this our Earth a better place to live. We need to think about our future, but also we need to be we need to have this feeling that we live now, as I mentioned, to feel grounded. So do not look into the future only, or into the past. If you have anxiety and you overthinker, just try to feel yourself more grounded. Again, walking outside, meeting with your friends, sometimes not only working, online things, they require lots of energy, mental energy, and physically you're just sitting. You need to keep caring about your body, your brain, and everything that around you. You will, if you start doing this, you will pay attention more to the things around you. That's how it works. That's why I always say, start with you and who you are. Reflect every day.
Definitely a beautiful way to end this episode, Miss Anna. Never stop learning, introspect who you are, know your purpose in this planet and in your life, and be grounded. Reflect on all your experiences and altogether become a good human being. Miss Anna, thank you so very much for joining us on today's episode. It's been absolutely inspiring, and listening to your entire journey and your insights into creating more inclusive and accessible environments in our classrooms using technology. And I'm sure all of our listeners also had an enriching learning experience from this conversation with tons of takeaways. So thank you so much once again.
You're amazing, Smart. Thank you so much for having me. It was incredible the way how you, made all of these phrases of mine in such a beautiful, inspiring quotes that you've analyzed every speech of mine in a very beautiful way, much better than I did, by the way. And again, the questions and the interview flow. Thank you so much. It was my one of my best experiences ever, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Anna. It was lovely having you as one of our Edu heroes here in our podcast. And to all our listeners, we hope that this episode ignited your curiosity about the potential education has to offer to empower and connect learners across the world. By advocating for accessible and inclusive education, we can all be part of a beautiful change, all about building a more interconnected world where education knows no boundaries. So, if you want to check out Miss Anna's YouTube channel, you can see the screen over here if you're watching the video, and also it's available in the show notes. And to deepen your knowledge about everything STEM, sustainability, and education, subscribe to the SDG Warriors podcast for in depth discussions and meaningful conversations with leading experts like Miss Anna, who are shaping a better world one action at a time. If you love this episode, help others find it by leaving a review and sharing it with your friends, teachers, and family. Stay curious and be the change. Until next time, it's bye from the SDG Warriors.
Bye. Stay safe.